Hey, Shalom.
Shalom.
Brothers of Great Millstone Charlotte, Great Millstone Raleigh, coming at you with another lesson through the Holy Spirit. All right. And Lord willing, this be edifying and informative to the flock, the church, the body, the believers, Habakariah. Before we get started with this lesson, as always, we want to give all praises, all honor, and all glory to Yahweh, double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone that taught us his truth and rule well. Peace, blessings, and mercy be unto the house of David. Habayafta without a hopeful elect. To you always say shalom.
Shalom.
All right. Another day to bring out the glorious gospel of Yahweh Bashem El Shai, the good news which is afforded unto you so-called blacks, Latino, Native Americans, and Hispanics, right, which go by these proverbs and bywords, which your true nationality is the nation of Israel, the children of God, who the world ignorantly calls God, whose name is Yahweh, and the only begotten Son, Yahweh Shai, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, right? And we're going to go into the topic of a response video to this YouTube lesson or YouTube video from Uncivilized, how empires fall and why the U.S. is next. All right, because as we see the state of the world, people are becoming more and more aware that we're at a tipping point. All right, we're at a tipping point in history where this cites the end of America, Babylon the Great, right? But what we're going to do is give you understanding through the Holy Spirit that Yahweh Bashem El Shai have forewarned the end of this kingdom before it was established. All right, because according to biblical prophecy, Babylon the Great America will be the last rulership of the heathen before the establishment of the kingdom of heaven, right? Matter of fact, before we get that Ecclesiastes, real quick, could we get 2nd Ezra 6 and 9?
Second Ezra chapter 6, verse 9. It says, "For Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth."
Right. Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. Right. The rulership, all right, the nation that governs the world is the nation of Edom, the self-proclaimed white race. Right. Pursuant to Job 9 and 24, the earth was given into his hand to rule. All right. However, as we see, the end of this society is falling, and the kingdom of Yashar Allah, the kingdom of Israel, is being prepared before the people's eyes, right? With the elect being risen up in these last days, all right? And that transition is going to enter into the kingdom of heaven, but this kingdom, this empire will fall.
That's right.
Okay?
Talking about the GNT.
Come
on. It's 2nd Ezra 9 or 6 and 9 in the Good News translation. It reads, Esau represents the end of this age, and Jacob represents the beginning of the new age. You know, so this current age, this current rulership is being marked by the downfall of this Edomite society, man. Right? And as the brother is going to go into in the video, you know, it's marked by the similarities, right, to all these previous rulerships, man.
Yep.
Yeah, I got a scripture.
Come.
This is Isaiah 46 and 10. It says, declaring the end from the beginning and from ancient times, the things that are not yet done, saying, my counsel shall stand, and I will do all my pleasure.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so we're seeing, you know, the counsel of Yahweh Shema Shai, which are his men, you know, speaking his words, the words of truth. You know, the end has already been declared from the beginning. We can read about this man's judgment, you know, which was written down before he even came into power. And the Most High have set up Esau Edom, you know, to be this big bad wolf in the earth, you know, the hammer of the whole earth, you know, to build up his military might, to build up his power. Also, the Most High can systematically break down this kingdom and show his power. Right, so we're seeing the Most High, you know, basically set a snare for, you know, this kingdom and having them go through, you know, his algorithm, this formula that Yahweh Shema Shai has set up for them to fall. Right, you brothers got it.
God. We can get that Ecclesiastes 1 and 9, Baba Kusha.
It's Ecclesiastes 1 and 9. The thing that have been, it is that which shall be, and that which is done is that which shall be done, and there is no new thing under the sun.
Right. There is no new thing under the sun. Right. And we want to keep that precedence as we
Right.
go through this lesson to show you that there is an underlying theme with all of these empires that have existed, is that they strayed from the ways of Yahweh Shem Shai. Okay. And that has been indicative as we're going to go into this video and articles and videos that brothers have that we're going to bring to the body's attention, is that look, we see that this kingdom is going out the same way as others did, and that's not by coincidence. There is an actual trend that is associated to disregarding the ways of Yahweh Shem Shai.
Right. If I can read this in the NLT, it's going to just pretty much personify what you just said. Ecclesiastes 1 and 9 in the NLT. History merely repeats itself. It has all been done before. Nothing under the sun is truly new.
Speak on it, Doc.
Right. So like you were saying, it's a pattern that these kingdoms all, forego before Yahweh Shem Yahushua takes them out. And so what this video is hopefully going to do is pretty much, shed light on the on those similarities to pretty much let us know that this is Yahweh Shem Yahushua giving insight to how he takes down kingdoms from the inside out.
Right. Yep. And there's a quote that pretty much says, in their new guise, the old ways go on. Right? And it pretty much means that they may change appearance right on the outside, but the things on the inside, remain the same. Man. So that's what you see in all these kingdoms.
Because if I may add, the things we're gonna go over today, the different empires, they are all ruled by the Edomites, and so we know Esau, Edom, pretty much uses the same playbook. Because there was a quote Apostle Gabar always mentions. I believe it was G. Edward Griffin or one of them, the guys that do the documentaries, and they were going into how these elites, how they're not very smart. They just found the formula that works, and they just keep spamming it.
Right.
And so that's ultimately Esau in a nutshell, man. They all have the same motives, because they're the same people. Therefore, they do the same things each incarnation. All right, which is the kingdom we're about to go into.
Yeah, I got one more scripture before we play the video.
Go ahead.
This is 2 Ezra 9 and 5. It says, "For like all that is made in the world have a beginning and an end, and the end is manifest." Right? So the end is, that word manifest means to basically to reveal. So that the end is being revealed, as history is repeating itself. The same signs that these ancient empires, went through, the same things they experienced and, lived out. And we're seeing those same signs of their end. Right? Well, one more verse.
I got one after you.
Okay. It says, "Even so, the times also of the highest have plain beginning and wonders and powerful works and endings and effects and signs." And we have to liken, this modern day, Babylon the Great, modern day Egypt, to, the ancient Egypt, as a great deliverance, and the Most High show forth His power and plagues in those last days. And these signs that we're seeing are leading up to those plagues. These signs that we're going to be showing in this video are going to be leading up to those plagues, those sore punishments that Yahweh Shema Shai is going to pour upon this world of disobedience.
So just to add to what you were just saying, because as you said, the end was written from the beginning. So Yahweh Shem Yahushua is bringing the end, to Babylon. That's a good thing. You should be rejoicing in that. So as we're going to go into these similarities of how these kingdoms all took the same path, this is something to rejoice in. All right. This is Ecclesiastes 7 and 8. "Better is the end of a thing than the beginning thereof, and the patient in spirit is better than the proud in spirit." So better is the end of a thing than the beginning thereof, because as we're witnessing the end of Esau Edom's kingdom, all right, that's actually a blessing unto the elect, because we're the only ones truly looking for the end of this kingdom. like it says in the book of Sirach about how one of the things the Lord glories in is somebody that can see the fall of his enemies. You know, so brothers and sisters, we should be rejoicing as these things are being revealed unto us to let us know how we're one step closer to getting up out of here. But you got it out.
Beautiful. Go ahead and get the video rolling. Can brothers hear this?
No,
Yeah, I was gonna pull up on the. I personally don't hear. I'm gonna see there if it's playing.
Brothers hear this?
No,
Yeah, I was gonna pull up on the. No, it's not playing out.
yeah, nah.
It's not playing?
Live.
Let me see. Still not playing?
Nah, it's an echo now.
Salakia. Bear with us one moment.
You want one of the brothers just to play it from the chat?
In the meantime, we'll just go through an article and then we'll jump to the video. Let me see here. Because it should have been able to play. Salakia. Give me 1 second.
Yeah, let's try to put it back on the screen.
God.
Far their rule stretched.
All right, we're good now.
All right, Khan.
Every empire falls. That is certain, no matter how long they reigned and how far their rule stretched. From the Romans who ruled for over 1,000 years, to the Ottomans who spanned continents, and the USSR that changed the political landscape of the modern world. So is the empire we're living under today also crumbling?
Yes. The key question is how fast.
We have bounties beyond those known to the people of any other day.
American democracy is obviously limping on both feet.
America is not the greatest country in the world anymore.
The US empire is falling, and there are 3 symptoms of its impending demise that we can see from looking to the past. Let's start with the oldest of the bunch. These videos are made possible by our supporters on Patreon. Millions of people. Remnants of its great reign still stand in cities across the world, a testament to their reach and influence in the lands they conquered.
Never has Rome been greater or stronger than now.
But then, after 1,000 years of domination, it fell. And just like Rome wasn't built in a day, it didn't fall in one either. Instead, the fall of the Roman Empire was death by 1,000 cuts. But there's one factor in particular we're going to look at: internal decay.
At the height of its grandeur and its glory, a civilization so powerful it could never be conquered from without. Yet it found the seeds of its destruction within itself.
There was a huge disparity between the lives of the elite and the commoners. Rome's elites lived in grand estates, hosting lavish, decadent banquets where they'd feast on peacock tongue and wine from naked waiters.
Every one of these senatorial families has holdings all over the Roman Empire. They're the equivalent of small multinational corporations. They are wealthy in a way that is impossible for us to understand.
The poor lived a very different reality. They worked menial jobs and lived mostly on bread and porridge, living in overcrowded, badly built buildings, prone to collapse and spreading disease.
The games are all about the Roman emperors giving the people what they need, and it's always described as bread and circuses. They had to feed the people of Rome, but once they were fed, they had to be entertained.
Let the games begin!
And see, we see that is exactly happening in these times. You see? The parallels of how it mentioned the hierarchy that exists being rooted in corruption, right? We're seeing that more and more as we see what happened recently with UHC, the United Healthcare, how there is a growing feeling of disdain toward these corporations, toward these systems that are that have been established to govern the people, right?
I'll read this for you real quick.
Come on, go ahead.
This is from an article that reads Internal Decay Theory, Ancient Mediterranean. It says, internal decay theory is a concept that explains the fall of the Western Roman Empire as a result of inherent weaknesses and internal problems within the empire itself, rather than solely external pressures. This theory suggests that corruption, economic decline, social decay, and political instability eroded the foundations of Roman society over time, ultimately leading to its collapse. Factors such as a declining population, ineffective leadership, and loss of civic pride are considered key elements contributing to this internal deterioration. So all these things that we just read are qualities that America is exhibiting, man.
Mm-hmm.
Right? These are all signs of the fall of this kingdom, man. So, like I said, economic decline, social decay, political instability, right? Declining population, right? Because the articles go out about how the Edomites, are becoming the minority, right? Ineffective leadership. People don't trust their governors. They don't trust the politicians. The loss of civic pride, right? That American pride is no more. So all these are elements that are contributing to that, man.
Yep. Real quick, because you made mention of that pride. This is Isaiah chapter 14 and verse 11. It says, "Thy pomp is brought down to the grave." Right? When you go into that word for pomp, it goes into pride. Okay? It says, "And the noise of thy vials, the worm is spread under thee, and the worms cover thee." Right? Speaking of the corrosion of this country, speaking of the corrosion of Babylon the Great, right? And those things that the brother had read, and as this woman is speaking of in the video, are all contributing to that overall corrosion, right? Because in order for the kingdom to go forward, there has to be proper rule. There has to be proper leadership to govern the people, right? Sirach the 10th chapter.
I got that.
Oh, you want to get right now?
Kai, I can get you go right to the point of what you just said.
Kai.
This is Sirach chapter 10, verse 8. Because of unrighteous dealings, injuries, and riches got by deceit, the kingdom is translated from one people to another.
Yep. Right. The kingdom is translated from one people to another. Right. And it's directly tied to the inability to govern the people appropriately. You see, because people are meant to be governed in a way that sustains them. Right. And as we see throughout time, those that stray away from the order of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai, it always fails. You see? And that's what causes the transition to the next kingdom, But see, this kingdom to come, right, is going to be predicated upon the law, statutes, and commandments. Right? That's why this kingdom, the kingdom of heaven, shall be an everlasting kingdom.
Right. I got like two precepts off of what you just said.
Okay.
This is Ecclesiastes chapter 10, verse 16. It says, "Woe to thee, O land, when thy child is a king, and thy princes eat in the morning." Because the pretty much the king is supposed to be for the people. It's another scripture that says that too, but I can't think off the top of my head. But the people serve the king as well as the king serve the people, because in order for rulership to be governed the correct way, that king has to be a righteous ruler, which we understand the Edomites are the furthest thing from that, man. All right. So as we have constantly witnessed through history, the Greeks, the Romans, and just America, just using the top three we can think of off the top of our heads, all those rulerships were ruled by wicked individuals, and this is eventually why their kingdoms ended up falling, because they weren't for the people. They weren't for the kingdom that they were trying to establish. It failed because they were doing things as we saw in this video, being corrupt leaders. They was assassinating each other. All right, they destroyed the people. Different examples to show, hey, they're not fit. All right, so it says, "Woe to thee, O land, when thy king is a child, and thy princes eat in the morning," because the resources that the king is supposed to allocate to the people to have his kingdom flourish, they take it to themselves, man, and they're pretty much greedy with it, and they don't distribute it, which causes that inner turmoil to rise between the class versus the upper class. Because you made mention about how what was the company, the dude that got assassinated, was it UHA?
United Healthcare.
Yeah, United Healthcare. That CEO that got whacked, because that was a hit. All right, it was coming out that nigga was doing all type of nefarious type of business to where you had companies as well as the common people that he was ripping off mad at this dude. So when he got whacked, that was pretty much like a jolt in the arm of these people, because when you're looking at the whole Luigi, whatever his last name is, situation, he's being praised as a hero because he quote unquote did something that the people want to do. And as these things continue to get worse and worse for the public, you're going to see more incidents like that, because we already had a copycat incident happen already. So that's two that's just going to be domino that's going to eventually fall down the line.
Right.
And I got this. Oh,
Okay, I got something for you.
Go ahead.
This is Ecclesiastes 5 and 8. I'm reading it in the NLT, and in verse 9. Don't be surprised if you see a poor person being oppressed by the powerful,
mm-hmm.
and if justice is being miscarried throughout the land.
Right, because that's exactly what's going on here. All right, there is no justice as the leaders of the people, these governors, presidents, senators, or whatnot. All these people in power, specifically dealing with the political side of it, all these people are corrupt, and they're all getting over on the common people. So it's a growing fire that's being stoked amongst the lesser class, because as that great divide is widening and people are becoming more and more burdened by this economy, they're going to lash out. It's going to be like a powder keg that's waiting to blow up as this shit gets worse.
God. It says, for every official is under orders from the higher ups.
Right, the elites. The elites are the ones that's behind this, and I'm glad you read that, because you mentioned the dude getting whacked. This was a situation that was set up by the elites, man. Because when you go into that store and you start digging, that dude Luigi, he was really set up. He's what you call a patsy. He was set to be the fall guy, because what these elites eventually want to happen is for this civil unrest to occur, to where these people are going to be beginning to fight back, which is going to in turn cause martial law. This is why you have that term order ab chaos. So these elites are doing this on purpose.
Mm-hmm. For every official, Ecclesiastes 5 and 8, and it reads, in the NLT, for every official is under orders from the higher ups, and matters of justice get lost in red tape and bureaucracy, which just so for edification, I looked at that definition. Basically means a group of non-elected officials.
We're seeing that on a high scale, dealing with these people at the WEF, but even on a lower scale, because these people are able to be able to manipulate this shit because they're bought off by money. All right, they're offered different incentives to rip off people. This is why you have a corrupt justice system, corrupt police force, corrupt everything, man. From the medical to judicial to the law, everything is corrupt because the elites know who to pay off, and those that don't take the bribe, they get whacked, man. So it's a big ass scam.
God, one more verse. Even verse 9, Ecclesiastes 5 and 9, even the king milks the land for his own profit.
See, that's what we've been saying, but this is tying back to what the scripture we read earlier in Sirach, the 10th chapter. All right, because of unrighteous dealings, injuries gotten by deceit, the kingdom shall be translated from one to another. All right, because Esau obviously isn't handling the kingdom the correct way that Yahweh Shem Yahushua would want a ruler to rule as. So he's allowing his kingdom to erode from the inside out, so that this place can fall outwardly. Because before a kingdom is taken down, it always corrodes on itself first, man.
Okay. I got a definition. So I was listening to a video today about money and capitalism, and they went into how ethics has been taken out of capitalism. Mm-hmm. Doing what's right for the people. So I got the definition of ethics. It says, what do you mean by ethics in business? Business ethics refers to, right, because America is a big business, right? It's an empire. To implanting appropriate business policies and practices with regard to agreeable subjects It says accountability, care, and respect, honesty, healthy competition, loyalty, transparency, and respect for the law. Oh, this is like this is where I wanted this one. There's like multiple definitions. It says first ethics refers to well-founded standards of right and wrong that prescribe what humans ought to do, usually in terms of rights, obligations, benefit to society, fairness, right? So all of these things, fairness, setting up a society where, everything is, well, and that's, I don't want to speak about that, because there's always going to be a higher class, but when you look at Esau, Edom's history, he's even robbed his own people, during times like the Great Depression, they stole upwards of $13 trillion from the American people, right? All to build up their war chests, right? For World War II. So all these things has been going on for such a long time. Look how they freely milk the land, and rape, robbery, and murder, upon the children of Israel, right? And the scriptures say, woe to thee who establish a town by iniquity, right? And buildeth a town by blood, right? And that's what Esau, Edom has done. So it's only a matter of time for these signs of your end to start showing themselves. You brothers got it.
If I can make one more quick point, because the biggest sign that this capitalism doesn't have ethics is the fact that they set up the Federal Reserve System.
Mm-hmm.
And brothers should know the history of how that was set up, dealing with Jekyll Island and all that. So they are printing money out of thin air. So it just goes to show you that, man. These devils ain't right. But you got it out.
God. Cornwall still got a little bit more on this article. I'm putting it in the screen right now.
This is off. It's a study guide going into internal decay theory. Continuing on, it reads: internal decay theory emphasizes the role of systemic issues within Roman society, such as corruption among officials and moral decline among citizens. So, like you brothers have made mention of, right? The moral decadence is leading to, the different, the so-called assassinations and as we see, taking place.
Yeah.
I get something real quick.
And,
back on that.
Sorry, go ahead. That was one. You got it.
Real quick precept, straight to the point. This is Isaiah chapter 19 and verse 14. It says, Yahweh hath mingled a perverse spirit in the midst thereof. Right? And we see that perverse spirit that's being exercised through these Babylonians, right? Right? That waning love, right? The ethics not being there, the laws and customs of Yahweh Hashem Al Shai that produce a sustaining kingdom, right? It says, and they have caused Egypt to err, right? America, Babylon the Great, in the scriptures is known as spiritual Egypt, right? It says, to err in every work thereof, as a drunken man staggereth in his vomit, right? So I just wanted to add to that moral decline, right? Taking on that drink, that Babylonian juice, the wine, the doctrines, the philosophies of America, they're just completely inebriated. Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and because I had watched a video dealing with that this, there's a guy that was just listening, and I can't really tell you the ethnicity or what he was, but he was just speaking about how, this deletion, that happened with that, basically the head of that health organization, that's a big sign that the everyday people, who, are living off of the in this society are not happy. They're not able to really continue to go on. And basically that was a cry of justice, and he was basically going into how if we don't want things to get worse, we really have to start, we have to solve this problem.
Right. This is why I said earlier, this was all set up by the elite. This is that order ab chaos, because they're exposing themselves at the same time. Like I said in Psalm 64 chapter, their own tongue shall fall upon themselves. But this was a point of plan to do that, to cause that civil unrest amongst the people, which is prophecy, by the way. This is why, real quick, 2 Corinthians 2:11, lest Satan should get an advantage of us. We're not ignorant of his devices. So we're seeing through this plan, man. You know, all these things that Esau is doing, it's a controlled demolition. You know, they want things to get out of hand so that they can bring the order in, man. Because like you said, it's a powder keg that's just ready to blow. So these people are going to be exposed to more the foul shit that's being done by these politicians, by these governors, by these bankers, or whoever else. And it's just going to take one person, whether he's a plant or somebody just crack, and it's going to be all out hell, man.
That's it.
Continuing
on. The theory suggests that as civic pride diminished, fewer individuals were willing to serve in the military or contribute to public life. Economic troubles, including reliance on imported goods and unsustainable tax system, led to widespread poverty and dissatisfaction among the populace. Political instability resulted in civil wars and power struggles, further fragmenting the empire and making it more vulnerable to external threats. The combination of these internal issues created a cycle of decline where each problem compounded the others, making recovery increasingly difficult. You know, and we're seeing all this take place in America right now, man. Right? All these things are just piling up. The poly crisis, as they coined it, right? All these things are coming back to back to back, you know, just as they did in the Roman time, man. Now, I wanted to get this going off of what you were speaking on, Priest. Speaking on the people being in an uproar, it says here, internal decay theory highlights how corruption among leaders and societal moral decline led to a significant decrease in civic engagement. As citizens became disillusioned with their government due to widespread corruption and ineffective leadership, they lost interest in participating in the public life or supporting the military. This disengagement further weakened the societal structures that had previously helped maintain order and stability in Rome.
Right. If I could make a quick mention, this is why when you heard the video talking about this is why the whole thing with the bread and circuses, it was made. Well, we're at a point in time to where that is becoming it's pretty much fading away, like it says in Isaiah the 24th chapter, because here it is, these people are noticing these athletes are getting thrown these crazy amount of contracts, and sports is dying. Like nobody's watching the NBA, nobody's watching the NFL, these different sports leagues. Nobody's really speaking on, you know, how things like they used to. Even with the election, this election, you got a lot of people that didn't vote, you know, because they see that both candidates was pretty much losers. So people are becoming disassociated with the norms of participation that this society offers.
And one of the WEF's tenets is civic participation, right? So as we see the transition of them trying to bring in this new world system, right? They're going to push for more people to be involved in this technocracy, man, right? And to separate themselves from the American way of life, so-called, man.
Right. Because it's through. It's finished. You know, the goal of these elites, right, is to bottleneck the masses of people into their new order through creating a chaotic environment, right, to where they have grounds and reason to pass legislation, to introduce new practices to counter the problems that they created.
Yep.
Any brothers have anything? I'm gonna go back to this video.
You got it. Well, I got one real quick because Quality just read that, so I'll get this. It's Jeremiah 30:12. But thus said the Lord, thy bruise is incurable, and thy wound is grievous. So these are all signs that there's no coming back. You know, this place is finished, like you just said. So, all what we're reading is just showing how America's finished, man. Because the same thing that happened in these different kingdoms that this video is going to talk about, America's facing now. So this is how we know we're at the end of this place.
I got one just dealing with the bread and circus. We mentioned it a few times. Ecclesiastes 10:5. There is an evil which I have seen under the sun, as an error which proceedeth from the ruler. Folly is set in great dignity, and the rich sit in low place. You know, folly has been really set up here. I forgot when you read this this book in Ecclesiastes, it talks about how King Solomon, he taught the people wisdom, right? He understood the importance to upholding a righteous society under the ways of Yahweh Shema Shai, and to put, Yahweh Shema Shai to the forefront, right? But that's not what Edom has done. He has, put distractions, to weaken the willpower of his citizens to submit to his will, because that's how he has governed them, by weakening them, instead of making these people strong, and him being, having the characteristic of moral heroism, right? Being a strong figure, to actually, look up to and follow. This man has been, a thief, and a murderer, all in the wise of, trying to play the good guy, and like brothers are going into, he's really catching on to it. You brothers got it.
Yeah, if I can add, that word folly, when you look it up, goes into wickedness, because all the distraction that he's putting out there is he's infused it with wickedness to pretty much, like you said, weaken the people, but also to make them, go against the Most High. So being evil is a norm, and they push it. So this is why the Lord is doing what He's doing to this place.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Go back to the video.
The games are all about Roman emperors giving the people what they need, and it's always described as bread and circuses. They had to feed the people of Rome, but once they were fed, they had to be entertained.
Let the games begin!
There were famines, peasant uprisings, and slavery, and the Roman tax system disproportionately impacted the lower classes, while the wealthy often avoided taxes through exemption or corruption.
This is now a new era of Roman history. Rome is no longer what it was. Rome is in decline.
The middle class was shrinking, and the economy became increasingly polarized between the very rich and the very poor, all fueling resentment and instability. So what does this tell us about the US?
Home they've always dreamed of, the happiest investment they have ever made.
The middle class was once a symbol of the American dream. It meant owning your own home with a white picket fence, a car, kids going to school, a perceived ease and quality of life that couldn't be found anywhere else in the world, and that anyone could achieve so long as they worked hard enough.
We are a prospering people, wherever we live, or earn our livelihood.
But for the past few decades, that's all become increasingly out of reach for lots of Americans.
Some people skipping meals because they simply can't afford it.
The number of people experiencing homelessness in a single night went up 12%.
Every year, hundreds of thousands of people are literally asking for donations to afford medical treatment.
Our roads and bridges are crumbling, our airports are out of date, and the vast majority of our seaports are in danger of becoming obsolete.
But Americans from the grocery store to the gas station are seeing their budgets tighten every single month.
And the changes suggested would mean higher taxes for the average American family, widening America's already massive income gap.
90% of the wealth is right here in the top. And then the lower middle class, they've got 0.3% of a piece. Yeah, they have some crumbs there. And the poorest, they have no pie. In fact, they have less than no pie. They actually have a bill for pie. They're in pie debt.
They're struggling to meet rent or mortgage payments, repay college loans, to repay loans for a car.
While the wealthy have become steadily wealthier, wages have been stagnant and costs of living have surged. And it's not like these changes are mutually exclusive. It's off the backs of workers, off the exploitation of the American masses, that the wealthy continue to engorge themselves.
Elon Musk has officially become the richest person in the world. His net worth has crossed the $400 billion mark.
Companies buying out the housing market, insurance companies making healthcare unaffordable, politicians taking money from lobbies to protect corporate interests and fill their own pockets, and the working class is well aware.
Hoarding wealth is so harmful, so unethical, so rage-inducing.
Billionaires should not exist. So you talk about teacher's salary, $2,000 in rent, $400 car payment, you got insurance, you got groceries, electricity. Like, I don't understand how people are affording life right now.
For 5 stitches, $3,800.
What?
Like, it's so freaking hard to live here.
North America is one big scam.
Boom, it's a fucking scam. You see, this American dream that has been sold, you know, primarily to you Israelites, right? Because the heathen, they reap the benefits of you being in captivity. That's what's made this country great, is off the backs of the Israelites, right? Primarily. But now we're seeing that this scam is being exposed, right, through the Spirit of the Lord, right? Real quick, could a brother grab Isaiah 25:7? I got something real fast.
Bring it out, brother.
This is Proverbs chapter 29 and verse 2, straight to the point. When the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. But when the wicked beareth rule, the people mourn. Now, is not America a quote-unquote God-fearing country? Does not America have the Bible as the law of the land, right? This should be indicative to show you that the people that govern the world are the wicked, right? That this is not a righteous society, because the people are clearly mourning throughout this video, throughout the various excerpts of individuals expressing their disdain for the governors, the rulers, right?
Can I get this straight real quick? Okay. So Sirach 34, now starting verse 1, it reads, "The hopes of a man void of understanding are vain and false, and dreams lift up fools.
Mm-hmm.
Whoso regardeth dreams is like him that catcheth at a shadow, and followeth after the wind." Just going into how this whole thing was set up to fail, man. Right? And they knew that they were running a play, right, on the people of this country. You know, so their whole MO was to ensnare these people into this trap, right? And sell it to them as a dream, as some grand possibility. That's why she was making mention of the middle class, right? They pushed that during that time so that everybody gets invested into that, and they chase that dream in perpetuity, you know?
Right. And as you see, as the things is breaking down, that dream is getting further and further from them. So the people that was invested in the American dream are starting to see that this shit was a lie. And this is why, as you know, brothers has been going into, everybody is starting to look at these damn devils, these bankers, the elites, as the problem, you know?
God. Jumping down, it's verse 7. It reads, "For dreams have deceived many, and they have failed that put their trust in them," man. Right? So this whole thing was a big enchantment, a big deception, right? That was gonna fail these people from the jump, man.
Yep. God. Could a brother grab that Isaiah 25:7, Baba Kusha?
Okay, can you get it on?
Yeah, I was looking for something, but yeah, I got it.
Yes, like I was looking for something too.
I got it. It's Isaiah 25:7. "And he will destroy in this mountain the face of the covering cast over all people, and the veil that is spread over all nations."
Right. And that's what we see that's happening. Esau is being exposed, right? And with that exposure, these people are starting to see that everything that they had fought for, right, as the brother has said, in perpetuity, was nothing more than a rat race, right? You were nothing more than a hamster on the wheel, chasing after that piece of cheese, not knowing that you were just you were just a cog in the machine, right? Mm-hmm. They show forth these little trinkets, you know, and put that in front of you to make you think that that was going to be what you should seek after, when all of it was just a ruse, right? It was all a lie. But now we're in that time of exposure, and people are starting to wake up.
That's right.
Did y'all have something?
Yeah, I got a couple things I want to bring out. One thing that video mentioned was how these major companies don't really pay any taxes. Well, the super rich. Well, here it is. Apple, they had a lawsuit. I just want to, so as of December 30th, 2024, Apple net worth, our market cap, is 3.83 trillion. This makes Apple the world's most valuable company by market cap.
Right. Hey, and that matches the GDP of some of these countries, Said it even surpasses some of the GDP of some of these smaller countries.
So basically, the reason why I'm bringing this out is because when you look at Apple, Apple heard that they got sued for not paying taxes. So in 2016, the European Commission accused Ireland of giving Apple illegal tax advantages. The Commission claimed that Apple was only paying 0.05% tax on profits from its Irish subsidiaries. You know, and they had I was watching their case. They had a case where all that money that they made, you know, out of the U.S., they said they didn't want to bring that back to the United States, especially with the tax, how much money they were going to have to pay in taxes. So now in 2024 in September, right, 8 years later, the European Court of Justice ordered Apple to pay $13 billion in back taxes to Ireland. You see how they fought for all that time, you know, to basically get away from paying taxes. And they always find loopholes on how to avoid taxes, right? So, you know, that's, you know, I just wanted to bring that out, you know, how just showing you the different corruptions on how the rich rule over the poor. Right. So here in 1 Samuel, I'm going to read this in the NLT just so brothers can get, you know, some good
If I can add right quick.
Bring it out, brother.
That's why the scriptures say that he is not in trouble as other men.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the fact that these companies, you know, these subsidies, these subsidiary companies are able to just go around the world and just get off and do whatever they want to do, you know?
Yeah, because, hey, when you make the rules, you can break the rules, man. This is his kingdom.
Yep.
You got it, Azar.
I don't want to read too much of it. This is 1 Samuel 8, and I'm going to read verse 10, and I'm going to jump down to, like, the point. 1 Samuel chapter 8, verse 10. So Samuel passed on the Lord's warning to the people who were asking him for a king, right? Because you had the nation of Israel asking, you know, the Heavenly Father to set up a king where Yahweh was our king, right? Just to jump it down, you know, verse 14 is a good place. It says, he will take away the best of your fields and vineyards and olive groves and give them to his own officials. He would take 1/10 of your grain and your grape harvest and distribute it among his officials and attendants. He will take your males and your female slaves and demand the finest of your cattle and donkey for his own use. He will demand 1/10 of your flock, and you will be his slaves. When that day comes, you will beg for relief from this king you are demanding, but then the Lord will not help you. You know, and that's why, you know, we should be crying for the true king of the nation of Israel, Yahweh Shema Shai, who's actually going to be ruling in righteousness, to where, things like greed, things like, covetousness, is not in the picture, because all, one thing I realized, during that video, they were speaking about how, the wealth is just sitting at the top. Well, that means things are stagnant.
Right.
Wealth is, that energy is supposed to be flowing. It's supposed to be moving throughout the society. It's supposed to have a purpose. Sorry, go ahead, brother.
Slocky, I was going to say, that's why money is known as currency. Because like you said, currency is flowing. It's supposed to be moving.
That's right, brother. I'm going to get that James, the 5th chapter real quick.
That's the spirit. I was holding that. I got you.
Bring it out, brother.
It's James 5:1. Go to now, ye rich men, weep and howl for your miseries that shall come upon you. You break it down.
Yeah. So, weeping, the miseries that's going to come upon you, because, what Esau does, he builds up, that's why when you look at the market, you've had several major crashes throughout history. Just dealing with the Great Depression, if you look at the history and, you have economists and people are like, we don't know why this happened. We don't know what caused it or what caused it to bounce back. All that history, you gotta know Esau Edom's track record, that was whitewashed over. Of course they understood what happened, during that time, right? And Esau Edom, is planning for another, theft. Well, he's already robbing the people, inflating these military budgets. A loaf of bread in the military costs $20. Why? Because they're laundering money, right? They're stealing money from the people. They're doing all these illegal activities behind the scenes, and Yahweh Shema Shai is going to judge them for it. That they're robbing from their own people, but who are they really robbing from? Because you watch a movie like what's the Cavers Everdeen Hunger Games? You watch a movie like Hunger Games and you see, people living those conditions in those movies. There's people who actually live like that here in America.
Yeah.
We're already in a dystopian reality, a dystopian future, where the rich are really ruling over the poor.
Right. Because like you said, they're robbing themselves, but really all the riches is sitting in really one people, and it's the Amalekites, because they have their own people in slavery with the rest of the nation. So this is why the Most High, all right, is directing this message towards them. I'm gonna read this in the NLT. James 5:1. Look here, ye rich people, weep and groan with anguish because of all the terrible trouble ahead of you. Your wealth is rotting away, and your fine clothes are moth-eaten rags. Your gold and silver have become worthless. The very wealth you were counting on will eat away will eat away your flesh like fire. The treasure you have accumulated will stand as evidence against you on the day of judgment. Because as we're seeing, and everybody is beginning to realize that, like you said, all the world's wealth is sitting with those small hats, man. All right, because as the world problems will continue to get worse. These devils, if they really wanted to, they could solve world hunger. All right, they can solve homelessness. They can solve, everything as a righteous king should. But they don't care about that. All they care about is hoarding everything unto themselves. Because when you read Wisdom of Solomon, the 2nd chapter, all right, it pretty much goes into how they know that their existence is fleeting, and so what they believe is that they're just going to go and use up the world's resources and then just die and disappear. No. All right. The Lord is having you pretty much stack up all these riches, all right, to be a witness against you, to know that you're going to be the reason why the world is pretty much going to turn against you.
Mm-hmm. Go on.
Into the last verse 4. For listen, hear the cries of the field workers whom you have created. It's like who you have cheated of their pay. And this is what the brother has playing, all these people speaking out. All right. Specifically, this is dealing with the Israelites, but you could use this for the common day people as well.
Yeah, because when you watch that movie, The Matrix, because these movies are really playing out real time.
Mm-hmm.
You have the initiated, that could see, right? And you have the agents that were after them, but you have the everyday people that they were just liking onto a battery. They don't care about you, right? They don't care about so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, right? This society was not set up for us. Here talking about for here, we have no continual city, but we seek one to come. Right? So all these things, the elites are doing this to keep, you people working. What was the old saying? You shall own nothing and be happy.
Mm-hmm.
And, you have all these people, crying after cryptocurrency as if that's going to be your savior. Well, the elites will give you that. It doesn't matter to them. They can regulate that easy. And literally, you're going to have a digital number in the account, which is literally nothing. You can't, it's just a number, right? And you're going to be happy.
Right.
You know, they're going to have all the real minerals and resources of the earth.
Right. It says the wages you held back cry out against you. The cries of those who harvest your fields have reached the ears of the Lord of heaven's armies, which we know is Yahweh Shai, that's going to come back and redeem the elect of Israel, the one that's crying and sighing, you know, for all the abominations that this devil is doing unto us, man. Y'all got it.
Oh, yeah, and then you got reports coming out, you know, on how these bankers are freaking off on people, you know, running, you know, rings behind Pizzagate rings, you know, all these evil and wickedness, all, you know, what do you think that movie Blink Twice was all about? All of this is happening on Esau Edom's watch. This man is eating a burger and some fries right now, right? And you got people starving to death, and this nigga just, oh, not my problem.
Mm-hmm.
You got it, brothers.
Got it. Anything going on?
And then there's the internal social and political decay. People have become disenchanted with the illusion of American democracy, of its promises of equality, of equal opportunity for all as long as you pick yourself up by your bootstraps.
You can see.
And these words aren't being. I just want to pause that real quick. She said disenchanted. Why do you think that these enchantments are wearing off? It's because the Spirit of the Lord is in the midst, right? These lies that Esau Edom has fortified his kingdom with are breaking down everything that he stood upon. You got that word for disenchant?
So disenchant in the Ellen Online dictionary reads, free from enchantment, to deliver from the power of charms or spells.
Ooh, man, to deliver from the power of charms or spells, right? And this is literally what this word is doing, right? It is delivering people from the charms and spells, right? Let's see here right quick. Bear with me one moment. Is that 2 Corinthians? Real quick. 2 Corinthians chapter 10 and verse 4, it says, For the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty through Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai to the pulling down of strongholds. Right? And when you go into that word for strongholds, it pretty much goes into a fortress. Right? Mm-hmm. This is what Esau Edom has fortified himself in: lies, deception, usury, tyranny, right? Satanism. But through the word of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai being magnified in the earth, the truth is literally breaking that shit down.
Yep.
Right?
I got a precept for you if you were done.
Go ahead.
You can break it down. This is Isaiah 19:1. The burden of Egypt. Behold, the Lord rideth upon a swift cloud, and shall come into Egypt, and the idols of Egypt shall be moved at his presence, and the heart of Egypt shall melt in the midst of it.
Right. The idols of Egypt, right? The false idols, the false gods, and the teachings that come along with it are being displaced, and it's been done so by the power of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, right? This word being magnified is a burden, right? Remember Isaiah the 13th chapter, the burden of Babylon.
That's right.
Right? This word is more powerful than people actually perceive it to be.
Right. Yeah, because everything that the prophets have been saying, these people have been taking note of. This is why you have, videos come out here and there. Or you have people admitting, maybe them Hebrew Israelites was on to something. Because as we always go into the economic collapse, the wickedness that these devils are doing behind the scenes, now that these things are being brought to the forefront, these people are waking up to the bullshit, man. All right? People are starting to speak out because they're seeing the Spirit of the Lord is making moves, man. Continuing on. And I will set the Egyptians against the Egyptians, and they shall fight every one against his brother, and every one against his neighbor, city against city, and kingdom against kingdom. And the spirit of Egypt shall fail in the midst thereof, and I will destroy the counsel thereof, which is
right
now. You got it,
You speak on it, bro. You speak on it.
No, you got it. I just want to make that point. You got it.
No, I was going to say, in verse 2, it spoke about the division, essentially, right? And Yahweh Shai, pursuant to Mark the 3rd chapter, gave us the understanding of what happens with division, right? A kingdom divided against itself cannot stand, right? So therefore, the writing is already on the wall, right? The will of Yahweh B'Shem Shai is being executed in the earth. He's the one that's putting out this vibration of division. You see? And then it said that the spirit of Egypt shall fail in the midst thereof, right? The manner of people is fleeting, right? This Babylonian spirit, that pomp, is done, right? Because again, everything that people predicated their lives upon are being brought into question, and they have no answers to substantiate these teachings, these doctrines that they subscribe to, this way of living that they carry themselves in. And at this point, if they do still choose to walk in the course of these customs and these laws, they're really showing themselves to be anti-Hamashiach.
Right. Finishing out, and I got one more behind this. It says, and they shall seek to the idols and to the charmers and to them that have familiar spirits and to the wizards.
Right. And none of that shit is going to prevail. Right? That's why we're imploring our people to repent and believe in the gospel, because at least you have a fighting chance to get on the side of the right counsel. You see? Right. To take heed to the sound doctrine of Yahweh B'Shem Shai. Those, the scriptures say, those that are heavy laden, rest with us, roughly paraphrasing.
Yep.
Right? Because we see you out there, Jake. We see you on the video. We see you on our day-to-day walk. Right? Jake is out of there, man. So you need to stop looking toward these idols and these false idols and these false gods and truly lean upon the Holy One of Israel.
Right. And if I can add, one of those false idols that these people are looking to is that money.
Yep.
That money is an idol, man. It's a talisman. Like you go into the dollar. The dollar has all type of symbolism on it to show you that it's casting spells on people, man. And these people look at money as God, man. Money is most of these people's gods, man. This is why you see, niggas like, I hate to keep bringing that nigga up, but Anton Daniels, they worship money, man. And so as Esau, begins to do that, the transition to doing away with cash, and card and everything is starting to go digital, which is going to eventually lead to that chip. These people chasing that money is going to go right along and get that chip, man. But I wanted to bring this out because as you may mention, all right, the writing's on the wall, man. Yahweh B'Shem Shai is letting us know that this place is finished. All right, so this is dealing with the Babylonian Empire, all right, the Neo-Babylonian Empire, Babylonian Empire. But this has happened in current day Babylon. All right, Mystery Babylon, Daniel 5:25, and this is the writing that was written, Mene Tekel Upharsin. This is the interpretation of the thing, Mene. The Most High have numbered thy kingdom and finished it. Tekel, they are weighed in the balance and are found wanting. Right. So when you have the backdrop of what happened with this story, all right, these Babylonians, being headed by I believe it was Belshazzar, all right, they were partying, living up. They were in their glory, all right. In the midst of that party, all right, a hand appeared on the wall and wrote the message of what we just read. And like I said, the spiritual thing about it is that happened in this lifetime, because these elites messing around with that CERN actually saw that same writing, in that machine, man. So Yahweh B'Shem Shai is letting these devils know that, look, your kingdom has been numbered and finished. And it says that you have been weighed in the balance and are found wanting. And when you look up that word wanting, it means lacking. And what is this place lacking? It is lacking righteousness, man. It's lacking morality. It's ultimately lacking Yahweh B'Shem Shai, because as you may have mentioned at the beginning of the video, all right, when kingdoms, all right, move away from the scriptures, move away from Yahweh B'Shem Shai, all right, that's when these kingdoms began to go on a downward spiral to destruction, man.
Yep.
Okay, I got precept. This is Jeremiah 49:10. I'll start at verse 9. It says, "If great gatherers came to thee, will they not leave some gleaming grapes? If these came by night, they will destroy till they have enough." But Esau Edom, he's on that path of, he's unsatiable, right? Constantly taking more and more. You know, as scriptures talk about how death and his desire is as hell. You know, he cannot be satisfied. Verse 10 is the point. But I have made Esau bare. I have uncovered his secret places till they have. I'm sorry. And he is not. Jeremiah 10 and 49. Jeremiah 49 and 10. But I have made Esau bare. I have uncovered his secret places, and he shall not be able to hide himself. His seed is spoiled, and his brethren and his neighbors, and he is not. You know? So Yahweh Shema Shai is really, you know, making this man exposed. You know, everyone is waking up to the poison and, you know, everyday supplies, you know, from toiletries to your consumption of your food to what you dry your hands with to the tap water, all these things, you know, the people are realizing, you know, that there's something wrong with this place. You know, there's something wrong with Babylon the Great. You know, this isn't the golden city anymore. This is really, you know, a nightmare. Like us, you know, on the harping this point, we're literally living in a dystopian future. You know, it's not so much a dystopian future as to come. We're already living in a dystopian future. Animals coming to extinction, right? And the Most High is exposing this man to be the root cause of all these problems going on in the earth, right? And he's doing that by this word, by this knowledge, right? Us lifting up true judgment in the earth, because people didn't know what true justice was until the prophets of Yahweh Shema Shai hit the streets, you know. So that true justice is coming out. Ebro's got it.
Done. You got anything going on? We'll go back to the video.
A sea of people all united under one cause. They are protesting for racial equality.
The murder of a healthcare executive has led to online popularity for the shooter.
Mangione has emerged in some circles as a sympathetic figure fighting the system.
All this leads to political instability, economic trouble, and social unrest, which weakens the empire at its core. But an empire is bigger than its center. It's a network of vassal states serving the core's interests, and keeping all those entities in check is done through both soft power and hard power. That brings us to symptom number 2. To understand soft power and how it plays into imperial decline, let's look at the Ottomans.
It was a huge empire, dominated by a Turkish dynasty that had its origins in Asia Minor.
The Ottoman Empire was one of the most powerful and enduring empires in history, spanning 3 continents at its height. It was a hub of cultural and scientific innovation, producing advancements in medicine, astronomy, architecture, and engineering that changed the world.
They ruled a considerable mix of peoples and faiths.
There was no great history of ethnic tension, even though there was a history of massively complicated ethnic and confessional coexistence.
It lasted almost 600 years, until it didn't. One factor that contributed to its demise was its waning influence over the peoples and territories it had under its control, also known as the loss of soft power. Soft power is about being more persuasive than coercive, about getting people to comply without using force. In the case of the Ottomans, it was a delicate balance of diplomacy and cultural influence. But over time, the empire's ability to foster loyalty among diverse groups was eroding, aided by rising nationalism within these communities.
The Greeks were the first to rebel against the Ottoman shackles.
The minute you start getting a political world, this system is going to break down. And that is what happens in the 19th century, and that is the great conundrum for the empire.
People stopped buying into the vision of the empire and began to break off and pursue their own.
Because this is, you know, the same pattern that we see these Edomites, which shows you that these devils are greedy, man. Because what they ultimately are doing, as it goes into, you know, how Esau has, you know, pretty much lost the soft power that he had over the people, is because he's burdening them so much to where they eventually turn on him. You know, that's been, you know, a continuing staple for all his kingdoms. Because, like, for example, you have with the Romans, it's a show on Netflix called The Barbarians, which the barbarians were Jakes when you do the research, but one of the revolts they had with them was because they was increasing the taxes on them to the point to where they didn't have anything to give them, and yet they were still increasing taxes on them. So they were left with no choice but to rebel and fight against them, which is eventually what his own people ended up doing. So just want to put that point out there.
Precept real quick. So Revelation 17:16. And the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore. Shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. So as she was speaking on those vassals, right? Those underlings, pretty much. The America is using NATO and the EU as those vassal states. But when you go into the medieval dealings, when the kingdom misused their vassals, then what happened? There were backdoor dealings taking place.
Yep.
And they were ultimately trying to overthrow that kingdom, and this is what we're seeing take place. With these nations underneath America right now, man.
Yeah, so they're making enemies, amongst the outside and in the inside, man.
I got one.
I got one.
Oh, you go, Isaiah.
Jeremiah 51:7. Babylon has been a golden cup in Yahweh's hand that made all the earth drunken. The nations have drunken of her wine. Therefore, the nations are mad. So Babylon, which is America, being that exalted nation that has made the people drunk, with its way of life, with its wisdom, it's been shown to be perverse. And a lot of these leaders, I remember back a few years ago, you had China, they were doing the fat camp, boot camp, trying to get obesity out of their country because of the cheap foods that they were, eating, living that American lifestyle. You have Russia that's cleaning up the alphabet community from out of their society. So you have these nations that are not down with the moral, you can't even call it uprightness, the low morals, the no morals of Babylon the Great, and they don't see Esau Edom as a fit king because a real king is supposed to be what they call him a nationalist in these days. A real king is supposed to be for his people, for his nation,
For his country, yeah.
right? You boys got it.
I got one to add to that. Habakkuk 2:15. Woe unto him that giveth his neighbor drink, that putteth thy bottle to him, that maketh him drunken also, that thou mayest look on their nakedness. Because, like you're saying, Esau has pushed, all these different things that have destroyed nations unto them, and so now that they're realizing that, look, being allied with these damn Edomites, man, is not benefiting them, because as they're doing their conquest for power, they're suffering for it, man. Like you had, about a year or two ago, when America in their conflict with Russia, and they destroyed those two pipelines. America's allies, they suffered from that, and that's why you had some of them, they broke away and sided with Russia, which you're starting to see that happen a lot more with their allies, because, like I said, they're witnessing that they're actually being hurt by the different things that America's doing. So for these elites, the best interest is not in the interest of the people that's supposed to be allied with him.
Right. Real quick, this is Isaiah 47:15 in the NLT. And all your friends, those with whom you've done business since childhood, will go their own ways, turning a deaf ear to your cries. So this is what we're seeing take place, man. Like you said, Priest, America has no allies, right? When this war actually starts to kick off, people are going to turn their backs on America. The only thing America has is their dealings with Israel. Those Israelis out there, man. Everything else is the world versus the whore on the beast, man. So once America is being used and abused to the point of no return, this is what we're going to start seeing, is all these nations start to take their chunk of flesh, man. They see that opportunity, while America's on its knees, man.
Yeah, America is like the elite's bottom bitch, and she's about to turn her last trick, man. So they trying to get every last use of it they can out of her.
Exactly. Yep. Keep going.
Own interests. Now, the US has been really good at soft power. It began after World War II, when the US positioned itself as a global leader promoting democracy, economic growth, and cultural influence.
Joe's the king because he can buy more with his wages than any other worker on the globe.
It is the most important idea that the United States has contributed to the world. Citizens of every rank can expect to have a better, richer, happier life.
It helped rebuild war-torn Europe, set up major global institutions where it continues to hold significant power, and has exported music, television, and pop culture across the world for decades. And the messaging of this soft power has been consistent and clear.
Shining city upon
If
a
I can
hill.
make a point on that real
After
quick.
200
but
years.
As we know, America is 100% export. They don't import slocky. They don't export anything of value to the world. And so all the stuff that it just named that what America does export is harmful. You know, that's that bottle that we just spoke about. And all these nations are beginning to realize that we're actually suffering from siding with this bitch, man. So we gotta get away from it, man. You know, so that just shows you how the stage is being set more and more for these nations to come against Babylon.
Exactly. This is them, the personification of them spreading themselves as that Green Bay tree.
Yeah.
Right. Them getting their branches and their leaves and their roots in every nation across the planet, man. So, and this was the whole point of what you see took place after World War II. What she's saying is them to push that what was it called, soft power, right? You know, to cozy up the people, right? So that once they decided to bring the hammer, they were already well entrenched throughout the globe, man.
Right, because that soft power was pretty much a cover up for them to pretty much put these nations in debt to America, really in debt to the elites. But they, as we know, use that soft power to pretty much get it to where these nations they looked at America as an ally. So what these elites did would bring America to help them in whatever conflict that they were in, and now they owe America a debt, which therefore allowed these Rothschilds to put their banks in these different countries to where they pretty much have infiltrated almost the whole world. And the people that didn't play ball with them is the ones that they threw sanctions on, which is why you see the stalemate that we're at right now, to where Russia, Iran, and different countries that refuse the Rothschild bank, that's the big boogeyman of the world, man. All right, but like I said, that illusion that these nations have been enchanted with is wearing off. Now they see what this shit is for what it is.
Yep. Isaiah, did you want to bring up this article?
No, we don't have to. But really, the top, like you said, it just does the top export for the U.S. is oil drilling and gas extractions, petroleum refining, brand name pharmaceuticals, which we know that's not good.
It's all bad shit, man. It's shit that doesn't benefit these other nations, as well as the indoctrination and this fucking so-called democracy, man.
Yeah.
Westernization, the colonization, man. It's all destructive.
So I just want to read number 6. They call it organic chemical manufacturing, are used in variety of products, including foods with synthetic flavors, wood products, and pesticides.
Yeah. Shit. This is why when you look at, the American restaurants, whatever they franchises that's in these other countries, it's certain products that is banned in other countries that is allowed here. Because they understand that shit's not beneficial for their people.
Yeah, and like I said, it's soybean, like all these things we know not to be good. You bros got it. I don't know.
Time. Yeah, go back.
She's still a beacon, still a magnet for all who must have freedom.
But for soft power to work, For people to buy into the fantasy and want to participate, they need to see credibility and moral consistency. Now, just to be clear, the US has violated the principles it preaches since its founding, not to mention since its emergence as a global hegemon. It seems the majority of people were willing to overlook that and buy into the American dream.
Hey, real quick, so we
But the
spoke on that earlier. As I quoted, I'll get it. Habakkuk 2:12. Woe to him that buildeth a town with blood and establish a city by iniquity. As the video just said, man, that's was America's upbringing, man. All right, sin, bloodshed, and sin, man. But then try to use the Bible and Christianity as a force to seem like they was God fearing, man. That they were for the people.
Yeah, one thing she just said too was buying into the American dream. You know, they didn't look at her works, her track record, but they bought into, you know, they had a belief that, you know, that she would be good, that she was good, you know, and that's really what's been, you know, keeping this place afloat for such a long time. The belief in, you know, America, USA, the saviors of the world, you know, the golden city, you know, sidewalks of gold. It's looked at basically as a Elysium, you know. That's what America is really looked at as. For brothers that have seen the movie, you know, it's a movie called Elysium, you know, where the earth was in decay and they were living in the heavens, you know, where it was paradise.
Yeah,
You know, and that territory of paradise is getting smaller and smaller, you know, as the world is waxing worse and worse.
Yep. Because post World War II, America was separated from all global issues, man. You know, that's why you ask these people about what's happening geopolitically, they can't give you an answer on anything, man. You know, but as the brother brought out those enchantments being worn down, now you're starting to see, you know, people start to care about America's footprint, you know, across the globe, man.
Mm-hmm.
Time. Go back.
illusion is falling apart.
The mob tore down scaffolding, battled their way through the last line of police defense, and broke into the Capitol.
Pause that and go to the other video with the more of the cake, because that's what they just spoke on. So that'd be good to add in there real quick. It's not long.
Okay. Let's see there.
Because these are all step by step progress to show you how this place is corroding from the inside out, man.
Happens at the end of every civilization's reign. And I think this happened with the Greeks and it happened with the Romans. And it's one of the things that Douglas Murray, when I had him on my podcast, was discussing. He said one of the things that happens at the end of civilizations is they become obsessed with gender. It's a thing that happens where men start becoming women and women start becoming men, and it becomes like a big focus, like cross-dressing and all this stuff becomes a big point of focus. And I was like, well, why is that? He goes, it seems to be that they're dissolving all boundaries and all norms and all societal structure, and that's a part of it. It's like gender roles.
Con, that's a good one. The woman goes in a little bit more detail.
That wasn't it?
No, I sent you the one with the woman. It's a YouTube link.
Oh shit, Salakia.
Con, you good? Because she's gonna pretty much say something similar, but she goes into detail with just showing you like this is a trend that history always goes.
God.
Which once again brings back that Ecclesiastes 1:9. History repeats itself because, like I said, Esau Edom has the same playbook. Okay, because he took what he learned from the Egyptian captivity, the Babylonians, because them Hamites was nasty. All right, they're the original homos, man. All right, and they took that because when you go into the Moism, all right, that's the highest form of Satanism. Okay, and what Esau is trying to do with his New World Order is bring in a kingdom ruled by Satan. So when you begin to blur the lines between what a man and a woman is, the people they're like a blank slate because they don't know what's what anymore, man. So you can fill that void with anything that you want, which is what they have done. This is why the whole focus on Moism is what it is. And while you're getting that, I had a quick. This is an excerpt from this book called The New World Order, and it had a point to where it said, real quick, it says the old world is coming to an end. It will be replaced with a new way of doing things. The new world will be called the New World Order. This structure will redistribute property from the have nations and will give it to the have not nations. The New World Order will include changes in the family. Homosexual marriages will be legalized. Parents will not be able to raise their children. The state will. All women will be employed by the state and not allowed to be homemakers. Divorce will become exceedingly easy, and monogamous marriage will be slowly phased out. The workplace, the government will become the owner of all the factories of production. The private ownership of property will be outlawed. Religion will be outlawed, and believers will be either eliminated or imprisoned. There will be a new religion, the worship of man and his mind. All will believe in the new religion. The United States will play a major role in bringing it to the world. World wars have been fought to further this aims. Adolf Hitler, the Nazi socialist, supported the goal of the planners. The majority of the people will not readily accept the New World Order, but will be deceived into accepting it by two strategies. Just giving an excerpt of why things have gone where they're going, or where they have gone, because this is a plan that was set up a long time ago by the elites, man. You know? So nothing that happens is by accident.
Yeah, I got a scripture. This is Psalm 68:6. It says, they search out iniquity. They accomplish a diligent search.
Mm-hmm.
Both the inward thought of every one of them in the heart is deep.
Right. And what Esau, that search that he did was what you call subversion. All right. He subverted, like scripture say, he subverted whole houses. He destroyed, all right, the minds of the people to the point to where, like I said, they will eventually just go along with what he gives them because they're not able to think for themselves anymore, man. All right, with all these distractions and different things that he's put out here, these people have lost, the true cognitive function of how the brain's supposed to work. Therefore, now they've become programmed. And so what Esau has done is slowly introduce these things little by little over time to where gradually the people grew to accept it, which is why, like I said, this mode agenda, this is not no light thing. This is a path to destruction. This is why the scriptures look at this place like modern day Sodom and Gomorrah, because this is what Sodom and Gomorrah eventually, led to.
That's right. And just when you that little excerpt, we see a lot of the beginning stages of those things.
We're past the beginning stages. We're deep into it at this point.
Yeah, we're exactly. We're seeing, those fruits, spring forth. And this man, he has think tanks where he thinks 30, 40, 50 years into the future. Right? You have a vision board, you have a calendar, a 1-year calendar of your goals and everything. This man creates a vision board for the next decade, and he understands history. He has this knowledge that he uses against the people. His wisdom is against the people because all of these things like social inclusion, right? He has created a society where people are separate and it's all systematic. But now, he's going to bring a pseudo salvation, of inclusion. This system right here is going to, allow everyone to be one, under this MOT to the B system, right? So it's all a trap. It's all a snare this man is laying.
Tom, play the video.
There is something weird, despite that, about the transgender question, right? There is something going on that's beyond the sort of liberation of fluidity. Something else seems to have happened, where many young people in this country now, there's a percentage increase in the number registering for clinical interventions on transgender questions has increased enormously. There's a certain fashion in schools of some sort. And it's a nerve-wracking business. If you're going to get no platformed in this country at university, you know, Germaine Greer, like, regardless of what one thinks of Germaine Greer, the point is you only have to touch on this question.
Skip
Ian
her
McEwan,
till
who
the
is
other woman starts talking, Baba Kashai.
Say that once more.
I said you can skip her part. It's the one on the left that's going to be the main one doing the talking.
And that the moment you are dissatisfied with the limitations of your present gender definition, that there is this enormous mechanism waiting to alter your body, to halt puberty, to slow your puberty down. People, all very well-meaning and very sympathetic, are there to provide surgical intervention and potential, permanent changes in your body with which there's no going back. Okay, I mean, for me, a sex change operation opens one door but closes many others. Right? I personally believe that anyone who collaborates in an intrusion into a developing child's body,
you can skip
and
to
mind,
about 4
is
minutes
guilty.
and 13 seconds.
And that's what the sexual persona is. I explored it in history, but the more I explored it, I realized that that historically, the movement toward androgyny occurs in late phases of culture. Okay, as a civilization is starting to unravel. Okay, and that you can find it again and again and again through history in the Greek art. Okay, you can see it happening. All of a sudden, okay, there's a kind of the sculptures of handsome nude young men athletes that used to be very robust. Okay, in the archaic period, suddenly began to seem like wet noodles. Okay, toward the end. Okay, and that the people who live in such periods, a late phase of culture, whether it's the Hellenistic era, whether it's the Roman Empire, whether it's the Mauve decade of Oscar Wilde in the 1890s, whether it's Weimar Germany, people who live in such times, okay, feel that they're very sophisticated, they're very cosmopolitan, okay, and homosexuality, heterosexuality, so what, anything goes, and so on. All right, and so, but from the perspective of historical distance, okay, you can see that it's a culture that no longer believes in itself, okay, and then what you invariably get are people who are convinced of the power of heroic masculinity, okay, on the edges, whether they're the Vandals and the Huns, okay, or whether they're the barbarians of ISIS, okay, you see them, starting to mass on the outsides of the culture, and that's what we have right now. That there is a tremendous and rather terrifying disconnect between the infatuation with the transgender movement in our own culture and what's going on out there. Okay, all right, and so I mean that's why I'm concerned. I feel it's ominous. Okay,
We can stop it right there. That was
I
the point.
question.
Okay.
So just even these historians understand that when you see a society going the way that we see America going, that this place is done, man.
Yep.
Okay, I got this precept. This is it's like I just got Isaiah chapter 3, verse 9. It says, "The show of their contents does witness against them. They declare their sin as Sodom," right? Just as Sodom and Gomorrah was open about their wickedness, the same things are going on here in America, to where, people sing songs about their evil, about their wickedness, about the wickedness of their culture, especially among our people, Jake, who learned from Esau Edom, right? It says, "They declare their sin as Sodom, they hide it not. Woe unto their soul, for they have rewarded evil unto themselves," right? And we understand, yes, it is the elites, causing these things, as they're trying to bring their NW0 back into, to bring it, alive, to have it speak in the earth, their image. But it's really the Most High, right? This is the judgment that the Most High is setting up for this world. The everyday people are suffering when the Heavenly Father was sending those plagues upon ancient Egypt. You think the people weren't suffering? When the cattle was dying, when water was turned into blood, right? All this moral decay that's going on, it's causing the people of the society to suffer, and it's eventually going to reach, to the kings of these nations, right? And that's why we always read about the day of the Lord. Talks about how the powers shall be shaken. The Most High is going to shake this world up, right? We're only at the beginning stages of it. This is the beginning of sorrow. These hyperinflations, right? And these people love it. These people love this moral decay. They're all for it. These people aren't standing up for justice. So the Most High is judging them. You guys got it.
Gone. Well, go back to this video. We'll finish out this little part, and then that'll be it.
Gone.
Capitol building itself. At home, the land of democracy, liberty, and human rights hasn't kept up the best image in recent years. And it's not any better abroad. The US has spearheaded and overseen devastating wars, crippling debt, human rights violations, and environmental damage across the world, which has made it hard to take preaching of democracy and freedom seriously.
America no longer charts a course and therefore has lost all rights to set it, and even more so to impose it on others.
Disillusionment with American values is growing, and in its panic, the empire continues to thrash and bully to stay relevant. That's where hard power comes in, and brings us to the third symptom of the fall of an empire. This one is best illustrated by the Soviet Union. Now, the USSR ideologically rejected the idea of imperialism, but the reality is that it looked and acted like an empire.
The Soviet Communist Party has not faced a serious internal threat to its political rule since the 1920s.
There was a centralized authority overseeing expansion and control of a collection of republics and satellite states, where movements for autonomy were suppressed. What tethered these states together was a unified ideology, communism. But it was also hard power, military might. And that costs money.
It is here, in Red Square, that the superpower Soviet Union holds its military parades, displaying its might for all the world to see.
At its strongest, the Soviet Union had 5 million soldiers stationed around the Union, and pursued wars and conquests to maintain and expand its reach. Then there's all the money spent on the arms race during the Cold War. Money spent on propping up parties in proxy wars across the world, and money spent on wars like Afghanistan, a protracted 10-year-long conflict that cost them $50 billion.
The superpower from the north occupies Afghanistan with more than 100,000 troops, a modern mechanized army.
Eventually, the cost of keeping the empire in check became unmanageable, and the economy took a hit. By the late 80s, people within the Union were struggling with soaring poverty and a low quality of life, with no strategic wins to show for all that money spent. Military and ideological overextension drained not only the economy, but public morale as well, until people got fed up.
In Moscow, the hammer and sickle is lowered for the last time.
Sounds familiar.
All estimates agree that the cost will be at least $1 trillion. The Bush administration never expected the war to drag on as long as it has.
The fall of Kabul to the Taliban marked an abrupt end to America's longest war. The war cost American taxpayers about $1 trillion.
The US carried out long, brutal, expensive wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, with nothing to show for it except instability and devastation and financial loss. Then there's the constant ideological wars. The war on communism, the war on drugs, the war on terror, the war on China and Russia. There's a constant boogeyman in the ether to justify US military spending. The US maintains the most bases in the world at over 700 and spends hundreds of billions of dollars on the military every year, more than the next 10 countries combined. It's funding Ukraine in its war against Russia. It might support Taiwan in a war against China. Billions of dollars spent, and we can't remember the last war the US has actually won. But last year, an undeniable awakening happened.
This has been a senseless and a deliberate slaughter, a genocide, and it is happening on our dime.
For over a year, Americans and the rest of the world have watched US politicians from both sides of the aisle cheer on and fund the genocide of Palestinians in Gaza to the tune of billions of dollars. It has shattered the idea that the US is a beacon of justice and human rights, and irreversibly cemented the hypocrisy of American moral exceptionalism. The empire has never been so exposed. And it's shown Americans, who back in the imperial core continue to struggle to live decent, dignified lives, where all their tax money is going, and where it's definitely not.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. You know, if you brothers and sisters want to check that out for yourselves, you can. I just want to close with a quick precept, and then if brothers got anything, of course, add to. This is Isaiah chapter 14. Reading in the Amplified Bible, because with all of this being said, this gives credence to why the Lord is coming to establish the kingdom of heaven, right? Because this existing rulership, has oppressed the people beyond measure, right? Mm-hmm. This is Isaiah 14:3 in the Amplified Bible. It says, "And it will be in the day when Yahweh gives you rest from your pain and turmoil, and from the harsh service in which you have been enslaved, that you will take up this taunt against the king of Babylon and say, how the oppressor has ceased his insolence and how the fury has ceased," right? Because at that time when Yahweh Shai is sent to redeem the elect of the nation of Israel, right? That's it, right? That is when we have been really able to step into our rest, right? Verse 5, it says, Yahweh has broken the staff of the wicked, right? And, the staff is representative of power, right? The scepter of the tyrant rulers, which used to strike the peoples in anger with insistent blows, which subdued and ruled the nations in wrath with unrelenting persecution, right? That is the hegemony of Edom that exists on the world today. Verse 7, the whole earth is at rest and is quiet. They break into shouts of joy. And that's going to be attributed to the kingdom of heaven to come. You see? Because this existing rulership has broken these people to the point to where they can't imagine actually continuing in this country any longer, continuing under the rulership of this devil. You see? So again, as we titled the lesson in response to this video, how empires fall and why the U.S. is next, as we started, the underlying theme that we've shown throughout this lesson through the Holy Spirit is that the turning away from the ways of Yahweh B'Shem Al Shai is what caused these things to happen.
That's right.
Read this real quick.
Okay.
Or, well, just play like the last 30 seconds of the video.
Last 30 seconds?
Yeah, because she summarizes a lot of what you just said. In that, as people, all these symptoms, are signs of the end of a kingdom, man. Right? And it's been showing itself throughout history as we open with that Ecclesiastes.
Yep.
Check. But these systems aren't going to live forever because they're inherently unsustainable. They rely on the exploitation of peoples across the world and within the imperial core, and bank on them buying into the bit that all this is necessary, is better for them, and protects them. And as life becomes more unaffordable, countries more destabilized, governments more autocratic, and our environment more unlivable, people eventually wake up. And that's usually the beginning of the end.
All right, so we're at the beginning of the end, man. We're really at the end. It began a long time ago, but we're seeing that ultimate downfall about to take place, and it encompasses, right, all these different things throughout society that we see decaying, man. Yep.
Yeah, because like brothers were going into earlier, how Esau, he's really a fool because he sees the decaying of society as an opportunity, to make war physically with them, because he wants to bring the population down to 300, to 500 million?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's much easier to control because he's not a god. Esau, he doesn't have the power that Yahweh B'Shem Al Shai has. and Lord's willing, we're part of that number who are going to be ruling this earth in righteousness. We're going to be able to govern this world, the whole earth in its fullness. Right? It doesn't matter how many people are on it. They're going to submit to the will of Yahweh Shema Shai. Right? Esau Edom has not been given that power. I don't got a precept. This is Isaiah, just to get the scriptures out more than talking. Isaiah 47:9, but these two things shall come to thee in a moment, in one day, the loss of children and widowhood. Right? So great mourning is coming, to the powers that be, and the citizens are gonna pay as well. But the powers that be, right, that running this world, that's running society, that's continuing to rob the people of their resources, and the people are waking up, right? And Esau Edom thinks he's so wise that he's gonna make war with the people, have them, like they said in the movie Leave the World Behind, fight each other, right, against this invisible enemy, right? But here it is, the Most High is going to bring the loss of children and widowhood. They shall come upon thee in their perfection, for the multitude of thy sorceries, and for the great abundance of thy enchantment. So all of these things that he's done to keep the minds of the people are going to fail him. People are waking up. It's no longer working anymore. And those scriptures say in Job, the wicked, those that have reaped down thy fields, they're going to come upon you. The Most High is going to raise this world up against Esau Edom, and the power shall stand in fear. They're not going to be able to handle the chaos that's coming. One more verse, Papa Shah. For thou hast trusted in thy wickedness, thou hast said, none seeth me. Thy knowledge, thy wisdom and thy knowledge, it hath perverted thee. Right? This man thinks he's so wise. And thou hast said in thine heart, I am, and none else beside me. Right? And the Most High has this man truly in the trick bag to think all this power that he's been given, this technology, this left-handed advancements in his world that he has gained, right, through his scientists, right, to be able to come with this nuclear destruction and all this type of witchcraft where he's able to weaken the people and control them. All these things is going to come and basically fail him in the end. Anybody else got it?
I got one more. Jeremiah 13:26. Therefore will I discover thy skirts upon thy face, that thy shame may appear. All right, so it's everything we've been saying. The people are now being made aware that the Edomites are the problem of the world. They are the ones behind everything. They're the ones that's causing these things to pretty much, go the way that they're going. Like you said, to pretty much try to use the world's problems as a means to bring themselves into a new world. But that's gonna backfire, man. The people gonna turn on them, and ultimately Yahweh Shema Shai is gonna destroy this, man. So he's through, man. America's through, and all you people that believe in this place, y'all through.
That's right.
That's all I had.
Was there anything else? Hey, Lord, brothers and sisters were edified through the Holy Spirit. All right, we're going to close giving all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone that taught us the truth and rule well. Peace, blessings, and mercy be unto the house of David. How about Yafta Wadada, hopefully elect to you always say shalom.
Shalom.